Can it happen? Well, let's bring in Executive Director of America First Works, Ashley Hayek. Also with us, political historian Rich Rubino, and joining us in studio, our special guest, former vice chair for the New Jersey Federation of Republican Women, Melanie Collette. Thank you all so much for joining us. Ashley, let's start off with you first. 15 days to go. President Trump is currently leading Florida. He's leading Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis. You see him, Haley there at 13%, Christie at 9%, Ramaswamy at 1%. What do you predict will happen? Are they just vying now for second place at this point, or will some sort of miracle upset happen?
No, they're definitely competing for second place at this point. President Trump is the only candidate that continues to gain more traction in this race at 52%, as you just showed, while everyone else is either maintaining or creeping up, a point or two at 15, 16%, which is, a little embarrassing considering the amount of money that these candidates are spending to come in second place. It's actually going to be very interesting to see what happens when we get to New Hampshire. President Trump has a major grassroots mobilization plan. Ron DeSantis hasn't been in New Hampshire. You see people within the state of South Carolina but actively speaking out, campaigning against who Trump has now dubbed New Taxes Nikki. So the other thing is when you did those interviews earlier, interviewing all the supporters, you're interviewing people at a Nikki Haley event. Of course, they're going to say Nikki Haley has some traction. But when you talk to the woman in a diner who's not at a Trump event, she says it's going to be Trump because that's where most of the people are in the state of Iowa. One more point, when you look at the different events, when Donald Trump does an event in Iowa, you see thousands of people show up. When Ron DeSantis does an event or Nikki Haley, they may have 50 people in the room. And I think that says a lot.
That definitely does say a lot. Melanie, what also says a lot is the fact that we're seeing many people in the African-American community. We're seeing a lot of Latinos. We've had a reporter go out to the South Bronx, and they're all Trump this, Trump that. Are you surprised by that? His overwhelming resurgence among people of color?
As somebody who's stumped for Trump during 20 with Black Voices for Trump, no, I'm not shocked at all. Some of my frustration with party resources is that, we don't spend time where we think we can't win. But I think that the Black community is definitely understanding, especially with the migrant crisis. It has really highlighted this, that Trump really was for everyone, including African Americans. So I'm not surprised at all.
Right. We're seeing that especially in places like Chicago and in New York City, that they want to put up the hundreds of the illegals right next door to them in their neighborhoods. Now, Rich, let's go to talk about former UN ambassador and presidential hopeful Nikki Haley. She got into a little bit of hot water earlier this week during a town hall where she was asked about the root causes of the Civil War. Let's take a quick listen to that.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was? What do you want me to say about slavery? Next question.
Does she recover from that misstep?
Yeah, I think she recovers. It's not like George Romney saying he was brainwashed in Vietnam, which killed him back in '68, for example. The answer is yes, but what it does is it takes him off of her game. She wants to talk about the issues. Now she has to defend. And generally speaking, when you're defending in politics, essentially you are losing. And we're just a few weeks out before the Iowa caucuses. A lot of people are low propensity voters, low propensity caucus goers. Maybe they're thinking about whether they go or not. They turn on the news. All they're hearing about is Nikki Haley and the Civil War. Now, does she recover for this? I think she does. I think by the time of the Iowa caucuses, it's kind of going to be about a 1 week story or not. 1 week story or so, but it's certainly not a good look for her necessarily. It kind of looks like almost when a presidential candidate is asked in a primary a question that they know potentially could hurt them in the general election if they answer them, but they have to rev up the base in the primary, and just looks very calculated. It's actually very similar when John McCain back in 2000 was asked about the Confederate flag, and he kind of read a statement about how he said that it's about the South Carolinians, but it did look like he didn't really necessarily believe that. So that's kind of, I think, Nikki Haley's kind of her kerfuffle right now.
Yeah, we got to leave it right there. Thank you so much for the great conversation. Rich Rubino, Ashley Hayek, and Melanie Collette. Stay with us.